Hi, and welcome to Jewels of Judaism, where we seek to bring the precious out of the worthless. Today I'll be sharing a short introduction to this week's Torah Portion commentary, Devarim, which is found in Deuteronomy 1:1 through 3:22. I'd like to read the first verse of Deuteronomy 1:1. In Hebrew it says this: Ele hadavarim asher diber Moshe al kol Israel. The word Devarim is actually the second word in Hebrew, and it can mean things or words. However, in this context, it clearly means words. In English, it reads like this: These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel across the Jordan in the wilderness. These are actually the words of Moses to the children of Israel before they were to enter the promised land. As we read in verse 3 of chapter 1, in the 40th year, on the first day of the 11th month, Moses spoke to the children of Israel. This was the 40th year, meaning the 40 years of wandering in the desert are over. Now the children of Israel are preparing to go into the promised land. And Deuteronomy is a record of the very words of Moses before the children of Israel went into the promised land. Now Moses himself could not go into the promised land. He was going to be called home. He was going to die. But before he died, he had words which he wanted to share with the children of Israel. And that's what we find in the book of Deuteronomy, the final words of Moses. Moses was a very unique man. We read in Numbers chapter 12, verse 3, these words: Now the man Moses was very humble, more than any man who was on the face of the earth. Moses was characterized by humility, which is actually ironic because he had every earthly right to be proud and arrogant. Moses was born into the tribe of Levi, the tribe that would later be responsible for the tabernacle in the house of God. Moses was raised in royalty in the house of Pharaoh by Pharaoh's own daughter. Moses was later chosen by God to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt and into the promised land. God used Moses to perform great miracles in Egypt and throughout the wilderness. Kings feared him. Moses was also a man who had great intimacy with the Lord. It says in the Bible that the Lord spoke with Moses mouth to mouth. Moses was also used by God to give us the Word of God. Moses is responsible for the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah. Moses had every earthly right to be proud and arrogant. However, he chose to be humble. And in his humility, God used him. You know, in this week's Torah portion, Moses is 120 years old. That's when he wrote the book of Deuteronomy. There's great wisdom in these pages of Deuteronomy. One of the highlights of this week's Torah portion is the emphasis which is placed on the life of Caleb. I want to read one verse out of Deuteronomy 1, verse 36. It says this: Caleb the son of Jephunneh, to him and to his sons I will give the land on which he has set foot, because he has followed the Lord fully. Caleb was a man who followed God with a whole heart, had extreme zeal for the Lord. In this week's Torah portion, on my commentary on this week's Torah portion, I focus on the life of Caleb and how he followed hard after God. To read my full commentary on this week's Torah portion, go to jewelsofjudaism.com and click on the title, Following Hard After God. Shabbat Shalom.